Good morning, everyone. In the last week, we started discussing monopoly session, and there we discussed the characteristics of a monopoly and the main causes of monopoly and the nature of the demand curve of the monopolies. And we did some calculations on the demand curve and the marginal revenue curve of the monopolies. And afterward, we calculated, we derived the total revenue curve for the monopolies. Also the average revenue curve and the function. So we learned that marginal revenue curve is twice steeper than the demand curve. So if we assume a downward sloping straight line as the demand curve, and let's say we give a function for that, equals n minus 0.2 q. And the marginal revenue curve will be twice steeper. So this is the demand curve, and this is its slope. When it comes to the marginal revenue curve, marginal revenue curve becomes twice steeper than the demand curve. So we have a slope of minus 0.2 in the demand curve, and in the marginal revenue curve, the slope will be how much? It's 0.4. It's twice steeper than the demand curve. M bar equals 10 minus 0.4 into Q. And there is no change in the intercept. Here it's the vertical intercept. Good morning. Actually, come up with a and it's sorry, Mr. Kalala. Let's hold it. After not finding in the Paradise that means around Mr. Marco Pence, they got colors they can put one. Third floor, let's hold it number 4. Third floor, let's hold number 4. So the vertical intercept is 10. That means when quantity is 0, when quantity is 0, say this first. When quantity is 0, how much is the price? When we substitute 0 for Q, this entire part becomes 0. Then what we are left with is only 10. So when Q is 0, price will be 10. In the marginal revenue curve also, when quantity is 0, marginal revenue will be 10. So vertical intercept does not change, but the steepness increases. In the marginal revenue curve, it's steeper than the demand curve. So in the demand curve, the slope is minus 0.2. The marginal revenue curve, it's twice steeper. So if we are given the demand curve, if you know the demand curve, it is very easy to draw the marginal revenue curve. You have to divide this distance from 0 to the maximum quantity. From 0 to maximum quantity, divide it to two parts, equal parts. So mark the midpoint between this 0 level of output and maximum level of output. Mark the midpoint, and then these two distances will be equal, and then draw the marginal revenue curve by joining the vertical intercept and this midpoint. So this becomes marginal revenue curve, which is twice steeper. Is minus 0.4. So this is the nature of the downward sloping demand curve and the marginal revenue curve for the monopoly. Monopoly faces a demand curve which is downward sloping, and marginal revenue curve which is twice steeper than the demand curve. So this demand curve is also for the entire market. This demand curve is for the entire market. Because there is only one producer in the market. There is only one producer in the market, so market demand curve becomes the monopolist demand curve. Market demand curve becomes the monopolist demand curve. And now we are going to see what kind of a relationship is there between marginal revenue and price elasticity of demand. Did you learn the concept of price elasticity of demand in your course of principles of economics or something? You had that course, right? Price elasticity of demand. Did you learn it? Price elasticity of demand. What is the basic equation for this? We denote it as EP. EP, price elasticity of demand, equals delta Q over delta P into P over Q. Delta Q over delta P into P over Q. So we have the demand function, the demand curve, Q. N minus let's say it's my 2Q. Earlier I took 0.2, but in order to make the calculations easy, I want to have the slope minus 2. So don't get confused. Earlier demand curve was a different one. This is a different one. Okay. Don't get confused. Minus 2. So there are 10 lies. 10 lies here. There's minus 2. Minus 2 is the slope. How do we calculate this slope based on this figure, based on this graph? Vertical distance divided by horizontal distance. For any curve, if you want to measure the slope is vertical distance divided by horizontal distance. If we take 2 points on the curve, let's say we are taking these 2 points, point 1 and point 2, point A and point B. What is the slope between these 2 points? Let's take this distance is 2 and this distance is 1. Vertical distance is change in P, the distance on the price axis. Horizontal distance means delta Q, the distance on the horizontal axis. When quantity increases by 1 unit, what happens to the price? Price decreases. So change in price is how much? Minus 2. Change in output is how much? It's 1. It's 1. So it increases. This is a reduction. So minus 2 divided by 1, it's minus 2. So that is our slope. So if you measure this slope in between any 2 points, on the demand curve, you will get the same answer. So if you measure the slope between point C and D, again you will get the same answer. Quantity change in quantity will be 1. Price will reduce by 2 units. Even if you consider a huge difference like this point and this point, you will get the same answer. Say here it's 4, here it's 8. When quantity increases by 4 units, price will fall by 8 units. So again you will get the same answer. So the location doesn't matter where you measure the slope. Anyway, you will get the same answer whatever the 2 points you consider on the demand curve. So what is the conclusion? At any point on this demand curve, the slope is the same. Between any 2 points on the demand curve, the slope is constant. Slope is constant, and according to our example, how much is it? It's -2. According to our example, it's -2. Between any 2 points, the slope is the same. Slope is delta P over delta Q. In our formula for price elastic demand, what do we have? It's not delta P over delta Q. It's delta Q over delta Q. The slope of this demand curve is delta P over delta Q. But in our price elasticity of demand equation, formula, we have delta Q over delta P. Are these two values the same? No. There is a difference. Delta Q over delta P is the reciprocal of delta P over Q. Delta P over delta Q. This is the slope of the demand curve. Reciprocal of the slope of the demand curve. Reciprocal of the slope of the demand curve. Actually, what is the exact name that we give for this demand curve? What is the exact name that we give to this demand equation? We call it the inverse demand curve, right? As we learned in the previous session, if we have price as the subject, in the demand equation, we call it an inverse demand curve. We call it an inverse demand curve, not the original one. So, slope of the inverse demand curve is this. Slope of the inverse demand curve. So, slope of the inverse demand curve is delta P over delta Q. What is its reciprocal? What is its reciprocal? That is 1 over slope of the inverse demand curve. Then it's 1 divided by delta P over delta Q. When we simplify this further, what do we get? 1 into delta Q over delta P. We can bring this fraction to the numerator. When we are taking this fraction to the denominator, to the numerator, the fraction interchanges. Delta Q comes to the numerator, delta P comes to the denominator. So then it becomes 1 into delta Q over delta P. Simply it is delta Q over delta P. It's delta Q over delta P. So this is nothing else. Reciprocal of delta P over delta Q. Delta P over delta Q. Multiplied by, assume we are considering about point A and B. we are going to measure the slope, price elasticity between point B and A, point A and B. Let's say at point A, the price is 8. At point B, the price is 6. And let's say at point A, the quantity is 3, sorry, yes, 4, 2, and at this point B, you have to be specific. The price is 8. One. The price is 6. It should be 2. So these are the 2 points we consider. When price is 8, Q is quantity demanded is 1. When price is 6, quantity demanded is 2. So we are talking about these 2 points. And let's say quantity increases from 1 to 2 units by 1 unit. Price falls from 8 to 6 by 2 units. 2 price units. As a result of the moving we have from point A to B. The point on the demand curve moves from point A to B. As a result, P decreases by 2 price units and Q increases by 1 quantity units. So here at the P, we consider the original price. Here Q is the original quantity. Original means before the move, before the change. So what is the original point in this scenario? A is the original point. A is the original point. So price elasticity of demand is delta Q over delta P into P over Q. We understood that delta Q over delta P is the reciprocal this is the reciprocal of the slope of the inverse demand curve multiplied by the original price and original quantity. So let's substitute the values we know. Let's substitute the values we know in this equation, in this expression. 1 over slope of the inverse demand curve. That is the reciprocal of the slope of the inverse demand curve. So we have 1 over delta P over delta Q. What is delta P over delta Q? Minus 2. Minus 2. What is the original price? Original price is 8. What is the original quantity? It's 1. So we have this. This is the slope of the inverse demand curve. This is the reciprocal of the inverse demand curve. We have the original price and the original quantity. This is the slope of the inverse demand curve. 1 over slope of the inverse demand curve is the reciprocal of the inverse demand curve, multiplied by original price divided by the original quantity. And how do we simplify this? This minus 2 to 8 will get cancelled out. Then we will have 4 minus 4 divided by minus 1, that is minus 4. So the price elasticity is minus 4. Between point A and B, the price elasticity will be minus 4. Between these 2 points, point A and B. Actually, we have to be specific for here also. When the point on the demand curve moves from point A to B, when the point on the demand curve moves from point A to B, the price elasticity of demand will be minus 4. We have to be specific about the direction of the movement as well, because we will get a different price elasticity when we consider this movement. When moving from B to A, we will get a different result. So we have to be specific about the direction as well. When the point moves from A to B, this will be the price elasticity of demand. If the point moves from B to A, then original price and original quantity will take different values. This will not change. The slope and the inverse of the slope will not change. This will remain unchanged. But original price and original quantity will change, so that we will have some different result. We will get a different result. So be specific about the direction of the movement as well when we are calculating price elasticity of demand. Actually, this is point price elasticity. Sorry. Yes, point price elasticity between 2 points. So this is just to remind the interpretation and calculation of the price elasticity of demand. What is the interpretation of this? What is the interpretation of this? When price increases from 1%, when price increases from 1%, quantity demanded will decrease by 4%. When price increases from 1%, quantity demanded will decrease from 4%. That is the meaning of this. Price elasticity, the general formula for the price elasticity is percentage change in Q divided by percentage change in price. That is the general expression for the price elasticity of demand. So when this minus 4 is when price increases by 1%, by how much quantity demand will change as a percentage? It's 4%. It's 4%. When price increases by 1%, QD, quantity demanded, will decrease by 4%. So that is the way of interpreting this value. This is price elasticity of demand between point A and B, when the point moves from A to B on the demand curve. We can link this price elasticity of demand to marginal revenue. the tripod. Okay. Marginal revenue, we can link it to the price elasticity of demand through the price. So I'm not going to explain this derivation because it's a bit complex. If you can remember this simple formula, that will be enough. Then you have to keep this in your mind. Marginal revenue equals P into 1 minus 1 over price elasticity. Marginal revenue equals P into 1 minus 1 over price elasticity of demand. So this expression links marginal revenue and price elasticity of demand through the price. There is a link between marginal revenue and price elasticity of demand. Earlier we calculated the price elasticity between these 2 points is -4. Usually, price elasticity takes a negative sign. Because when we expect a decrease in price, there should be an increase in quantity demanded. There is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. According to the law of demand, there is an inverse relationship between quantity demanded and the price. So usually we have a negative sign. But in practice, when we are writing the price elasticity of demand, usually we can ignore this negative sign and write it as an absolute number. Absolute number means we don't consider the sign. When we are writing the price elasticity of demand, we can ignore this minus sign and write the absolute value of it without the sign. Absolute value means without the sign. So that is a general practice. Writing the price elasticity without the minus sign is a general practice because always we expect price elasticity of demand to be negative. This is always negative. Always negative in some exceptional cases, except some incidences, we always get minus sign for the price elasticity of demand. So it is easier for us to forget about it and keep it in our mind that it is negative. So for our convenience, we remove it. So here, price elasticity of demand we take is the absolute value of price elasticity of demand. We take the absolute value of price elasticity of demand. That means without the sign. If you are considering the negative sign, If you are considering the negative sign instead, then this should be positive. This should be positive. So if you want to consider the negative sign, then you should modify this marginal revenue expression as P into 1 plus 1 over minus EP. So be careful about it. You have to be specific about which method you are following. Both ways are correct. Both ways are correct. If you are considering the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand, this sign should be negative. If you are using the price elasticity of demand with the negative sign, then this value should be a plus. It's positive, it should be positive. So both ways are possible, but for convenience, I will use this method. No, this method. I will use this method for convenience. But keep in mind, if you are considering the negative sign for the price elasticity of demand, you have to change the sign here. Instead of taking negative sign, you should take plus here. So on the demand curve, we have different price elasticities. On a demand curve, which is a straight line and downward sloping, we have different point price elasticities. You should have learned this from your principles of economics course. In the midpoint of the demand curve, what is the price elasticity of demand? It's 1. It's 1. Minus 1. So I'm taking its absolute value. It's 1. Here it's, so this is called what? Unit price elastic. We call it unit price elastic. Demand is unit price elastic. And at this point, the price elasticity is infinity. So in its absolute value, it's infinity. Usually it's minus. So it's called perfect price elastic. Demand is perfectly price elastic. Perfect price. The demand is perfectly price elastic. Perfectly price elastic. At this point, price elasticity is 0. 0. 0 doesn't have a sign, so it's always 0. So here, the demand is perfectly price inelastic. We have perfectly price elastic point where the demand curve the vertical axis. We have perfectly priced inelastic demand where the demand curve cuts the horizontal axis, and in the midpoint, demand is unit price elastic. And in between these 2 points, demand is elastic. Demand is price elastic. Price elastic. Between these 2 points, demand is price inelastic. So if the price elasticity of demand lies between 1 and infinity, if the price elasticity of demand lies between 1 and infinity, price elasticity of demand lies between, it's greater than 1 and less than infinity. That is called price elastic. Demand is price elastic. If the demand is price inelastic, price elasticity will lie between 0 and 1. It's greater than 0 and less than 1. So let's draw the marginal revenue curve also in this demand curve. It should be rupees. Price and marginal revenue both are shown in the diagram. So I am using the rupee sign on the vertical axis, and the marginal revenue curve is twice cheaper. Marginal revenue curve is twice cheaper, so I can draw it by joining the vertical intercept and this midpoint. This is marginal revenue. This curve is marginal revenue. Assume that price elasticity of demand is 1. That means demand is unit price elastic. Demand is unit price elastic. So I'm talking about the midpoint on the demand curve. The midpoint on the demand curve. I'm talking about this point. Substitute 1 in this expression and get the value of MR, and let's assume price is, this is 20. So since this is the midpoint, it's 10. Here the quantity is, you don't have to worry about the quantity. Yes. Take price as 10. We are considering about the midpoint where the price is 10 and the price elasticity of demand is 1. Substitute the values you know in this expression and get the value for marginal revenue at this point. How much is it? When price elasticity of demand is 1, that means demand is unit price elastic, MR equals P into 1 minus 1 over price elasticity. Price is 10 multiplied by 1 minus 1 over 1. 10 into 1, 1 over 1, it's 1. We have minus sign here, so it's minus 1. 10 into minus 1 minus 1, it's 0. So what is the answer? 10 into 0, it's 0. So when demand is unit price elastic, marginal revenue is 0. Marginal revenue is 0. Isn't it true according to the graph? Yes, it's true. When price is 10, you observe that marginal revenue is 0. Marginal revenue value takes 0. It cuts the horizontal axis from here. Marginal revenue can take negative values as well. So we can extend the marginal revenue curve to here as. And let's take another point. Let's take point here. When price is 50, price elasticity of demand should lie between 1 and infinity. So let's say it is minus 2. It is minus 2. So without the sign, I consider its absolute value. It's 2. So calculate marginal revenue at this point. So in the same way we did before, instead of price elasticity, you have to substitute 2. 1 over 2, it's 0.5. 1 over 2 is 0.5. The price is 15. 15 into 1 minus 0.5, it's 0.5. 15 into 0.5. And the final answer is 7.5. 7.5. So when price elasticity of demand is 2 in its absolute value, marginal revenue is 7.5, which is positive. So at this point, you can observe marginal revenue takes a positive value. It takes a positive value. It's my diagram is not to the perfect scale, so that's why. marginal revenue is 7.5. When price is 15, price elasticity of demand is 2. Price elasticity of demand is 2. And at this point, the corresponding marginal revenue is 7.5. That is the value we got from the expression for marginal revenue. So what is the conclusion? When demand is price elastic, marginal revenue is positive. So where the demand is price elastic? Over this range. Demand is price elastic over this range. So over this entire range, marginal revenue will be positive. Marginal revenue will be positive. So whatever the price elasticity value you consider between these 2 points, you will get a positive number for the marginal revenue. And then at the midpoint of the demand curve, where the demand is unit price elastic, marginal revenue will be 0. Then consider another point. The price is 5. And let's say price elasticity is at this point, the price elasticity is it should lie between 0 and 1. So let's take it's 0.5 minus 0.5. So we are considering its absolute value. It's 0.5. Then substitute 0.5 for the price elasticity in our expression for marginal revenue. Price is 5. Price elasticity is 0.5. 1 over 0.5. 1 minus 2. 5 into minus 1. It's minus 5. So when price elasticity is 0.5, marginal revenue takes a negative value. So that is clear from the graph as well. At this point, the corresponding marginal revenue is minus 7, minus 5. This is the price. This is the price elasticity at this price, and at this price elasticity we get a negative value for marginal revenue. You can see that is the marginal revenue correspond to this price. This is the price and this is the marginal revenue. So when the demand is price inelastic, at any point between this point and this point, we get negative values for marginal revenue. So the conclusion is when price elasticity of demand is elastic, that is when price elasticity lies between 1 and infinity, marginal revenue is always positive. That means when price decreases, when price decreases, total revenue will increase. Total revenue will increase. When price elasticity of demand is inelastic, that means when the price elasticity of demand lies between 0 and 1, marginal revenue is always negative. Always negative. That means when price decreases, total revenue will also decrease. Total revenue also will decrease. So this downward sloping curve, this downward sloping demand curve has different point price elasticity. It has different point price elasticities. So over this demand curve, this downward sloping, we have different price elasticities. At the midpoint, it's 1. At the point where the demand curve cuts the price axis, it's infinity. At the point where the demand curve cuts the quantity axis, it's 0. And in between this point and the midpoint, demand is price elastic. And between this point and this point, demand is price inelastic. That is point-wise elasticity, point-wise price elasticity. If we consider the entire shape of the demand curve, if as a whole the demand is elastic, if the demand is price elastic, demand curve is flatter, relatively flatter. So these point elasticities are about specific points. If we are talking about the entire demand curve as a whole, if the entire demand is price elastic, the demand curve is relatively flatter. It's relatively flatter. Flatter means like this, flatter. Yes, of course, at each point we will have different price elasticities, but as a whole, the overall elasticity is price elastic. That's why we have a flatter demand curve. The overall price elasticity is price elastic. Overall demand is price elastic. So let's think about a situation where price falls from P1 to P2. As a result, quantity increases from Q1 to Q2. Point moves from point A to B. At point A, this is the total revenue. At point A, this is the total revenue, price into quantity, P1 into Q1. At point B, how much is total revenue? P2 into Q2. So this will be the total revenue at point B. So what has happened to total revenue? As a result of this price decrease, what has happened to total revenue? Which area is greater? Which area is greater in size? The black shaded area or the red shaded area? Red shaded area. So as a result of this price fall, total revenue has increased. It happens because of what? Because as a whole, demand is price elastic. As a whole, demand is price elastic. That was the conclusion we got before. When the demand is price elastic, marginal revenue is always positive. And also when price decreases, total revenue increases. That's what happens here. When the demand is price elastic as a whole, when price reduces, total revenue increases. When price reduces, total revenue increases. So if your company has a relatively price elastic demand, then when you are letting the price down, when you are falling the price, your total revenue will go up. So what kind of products have relatively price elastic demand? When a product has many substitutes, it's relatively price elastic. For example, clothing stores. There are many clothing stores. Some are of small scale, some are of medium scale, some are of large scale. So customers have a range of clothing stores to select out of there. So if my income level is lower, I can go to a small clothing store. If my income level is higher, I can go to a larger clothing store where the prices are relatively higher. So customers have a range of options to select their clothing. So clothing stores and their garment items, they face relatively elastic demand. So if clothing store wants to increase their revenue, what they have to do? They have to reduce their price. So if you understand what kind of price elasticity is there with your company, then you can decide the pricing strategy, whether to increase price or whether to decrease price. If the company is facing a relatively price elastic demand, then the pricing strategy should be to cut down the price. Then only total revenue will increase. When this firm increases price, rather than reducing the price, if this firm increases price, then total revenue will go down. Then this will be the original total revenue, the initial total revenue. This will be the new total revenue. You can see total revenue has decreased as a result of this price increase. So if the firm is facing price elastic demand, then they should not increase their price, because if they increase the price, total revenue will fall. Their pricing strategy should be to cut down the price. cut down the price, then total revenue will increase. Okay, let's consider about another situation. The other situation where as a whole, if the demand is price inelastic, then the demand curve is relatively steeper. Then the demand curve is relatively steeper. So this is flatter. When the price is elastic, this is flatter. When price is inelastic, the demand curve will be steeper. Demand curve will be steeper in that case. Demand curve is steeper. Let's assume 2 points again. Assume again a price fall from P1 to P2. Quantity increases from Q1 to Q2. The move is from point A to B. At the initial price, this is the total revenue. At the initial price, this is total revenue, which is highlighted in blue. At the new price, this will be the total revenue. When price falls, we expect a fall in total revenue. Total revenue has decreased here. At the original price, total revenue is higher. At the new price, total revenue is smaller. So total revenue has decreased as a result of this fall in price. So that is why we said from this picture, we concluded that when price is inelastic, marginal revenue is always negative, and we observe that when price is decreasing, total revenue decreases. It happens like here. When we consider the demand as a whole, when we consider the demand curve as a whole, when we look at the entire picture, the whole picture, when demand is price inelastic, demand curve becomes a steeper curve. So according to this steeper curve, we observe that when price falls, total revenue is also falling. So in order to increase the total revenue, for this firm, they have to increase the price. So when price falls, total revenue decreases. So if this firm wants to increase the total revenue, then they have to increase the price. So the pricing strategy of a firm which faces relatively price elastic demand is to cut down the price. The pricing strategy for a firm which faces a relatively price inelastic demand, their pricing strategy should be to increase the price in order to raise the total revenue. So the pricing strategy will change depending on the price elasticity of demand each firm faces. So give an example for a firm which faces a relatively price inelastic demand. Liquor, cigarettes. So whatever the price level, those who are usual consumers, they price at any price. So the products like liquor and cigarettes, they face relatively price inelastic demand. Medicine as well, cigarettes, liquor, those are few examples of products which have price inelastic demand. So knowing that their products have price inelastic demand, the firms, those who are producing such commodities, should increase the price, then they can increase the total revenue. They should increase the price, then they can increase the total revenue. So that is how we can link elasticity and marginal revenue. That is how we can link elasticity and marginal revenue. Also, we can show it, the entire story in the graph like this. I guess this. Okay. So we can show the relationship between elasticity, price elasticity of demand and total revenue in this picture. When price falls over the range where demand is price elastic, when price falls, what happens is quantity increases. When price falls over the range where demand is price elastic, quantity increases. At the same time, total revenue increases. Over the range where the demand is price elastic, total revenue increases as a consequence of fall in price, as a consequence of reduction in the price. when the price reduces, when the price is decreased, total revenue is increased. The same conclusion I made here. When price falls, total revenue increases. When demand is price elastic. And there is another observation that we can see. When price elasticity of demand is 1, marginal revenue is 0. Marginal revenue is 0. This is marginal revenue. When marginal revenue is 0, total revenue is maximum. When marginal revenue is 0, total revenue is maximum. Sorry. Total revenue is maximum. And what is the next conclusion? When price elasticity, or when demand is price inelastic, when demand is price inelastic, when price falls further, quantity will increase, but what happens to the total revenue? Total revenue will decrease. The same conclusion we made here. When price decreases, total revenue will decrease when the demand is price inelastic. Don't say price elastic, price inelastic. It should be price. Don't say demand is elastic, demand is inelastic. It should be demand is price inelastic. Demand is price elastic. That should be the correct term you should use. Don't say demand is elastic, demand is inelastic. The price term should be there always. Because we measure different other elasticities as well. Income elasticity, cross price elasticity. So there are other varieties of elasticities as well. So here we are talking about price elasticity. So when you are using the term, it should be demand is price elastic, demand is price inelastic, demand is unit price elastic, demand is perfectly price elastic, demand is perfectly price inelastic. So the price term should be there, or always should be there. So this concept is relevant not only to monopoly. This is true. This explanation is true for other companies also in other market structures. If they face a downward sloping demand curve, then this theory applies. This theory will apply to any firm which faces a downward sloping demand curve, not only to a monopolist. So we talk about this concept in relation to a monopolist because we are discussing the monopoly session now. But it doesn't limit to these explanations. Just do not limit to monopoly. They will apply to other firms also if they are facing downward sloping demand curves. For perfectly competitive firm, will this apply? No. Perfectly competitive firms face horizontal demand curves. So this will not apply to them. The next discussion is on costs. In the traditional theory of monopoly, the shapes of the cost curves are the same as in the theory of pure competition. So we discussed shapes of cost curves in cost theory. And also we discussed the same shapes of cost curves in perfect competition. So the same shapes of cost curves will apply in monopoly as well. The shapes and the behaviors of costs will be the same as in the perfect competition and also as we discussed in the cost theory. So ABC, MC, ATC, they will take U-shaped curves. MC goes like this, AC, ABC, so these are the typical shapes of cost curves we have already discussed. So these shapes will apply to monopoly as well. AFC is a rectangular hyperbola. Yes. We discussed the nature of these cost curves in detail in the session on cost theory. So far we discussed revenue side of the monopolist, and we confirmed that monopolist faces the same cost curves we discussed in previous session. So we have completed revenue side and cost side. Now it's about profit maximization. The monopolist maximizes his short-run profits under two conditions. These two conditions are also the same as we discussed in relation to the perfect competition. A perfectly competitive firm maximizes its profits. A perfectly competitive firm maximizes profits under two conditions. Marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost, and the slope of marginal cost should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. So those are the two conditions for profit maximization we introduced for a perfectly competitive firm. In a perfectly competitive firm, marginal revenue curve was horizontal, and P equals to marginal revenue and average revenue in the perfect competition. In a case of a perfectly competitive firm, marginal cost will take this shape. In perfectly competitive firm, marginal revenue, slope of marginal revenue was 0 because it's horizontal. So in perfect competition, the two conditions for profit maximization are these: marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost, and the slope of marginal cost should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. In the case of a perfectly competitive firm, we understood that the marginal revenue curve is horizontal. It's horizontal. Therefore, its slope is 0. And also we understood that price, marginal revenue, average revenue, all these values are the same in a perfectly competitive firm. Although we follow the same two conditions in monopoly, these two conditions apply to monopoly as well. But the shape of marginal revenue will be different. In perfect competition, it was a horizontal line. In monopoly, what is the shape of the marginal revenue curve? We just discussed it. It's downward sloping and it's twice steeper than the demand curve. And in perfect competition, the slope of marginal revenue was 0 because it's a horizontal line. What about the marginal revenue? The slope of marginal revenue curve in a monopoly, it's downward sloping. So its slope is negative. So these are the differences between perfect competition, between a perfectly competitive firm and the monopolist. Because there is only one firm in the market, we can call it monopoly or monopolist. It doesn't matter. So those are the differences. The conditions are the same, but the shape of the marginal revenue curve and the slope of the marginal revenue curve, they are different between a perfectly competitive firm and the monopolist. Got it? So be careful when you are dealing with different market structures. Even though we have the same conditions for profit maximization, the shapes of the curve will be different. But In perfect competition and monopoly, the shapes of the cost curves, will not change. They will remain the same because we are using the same types of cost curves. So this graph shows the profit maximization condition. Demand curve is downward sloping, marginal revenue curve is also downward sloping, and it's twice steeper than the demand curve. We have marginal cost curve initially decreasing and reaches the minimum point, and then increases, initially decreasing and reaches the minimum point, and then increases. We have the average cost curve also. It's decreasing initially and reaches the minimum point and increases. There is another important characteristic. When average cost is minimum, marginal cost curve cuts that point. When average cost is minimum, marginal cost passes through that point. So these are the two cost curves relevant to our discussions. So what is the first condition for profit maximization? Marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. Where that condition is satisfied? Look at the marginal revenue curve and look at the marginal cost curve and see where the two curves are intersecting. The two curves are intersecting at this point. This is marginal revenue. The blue color line is the marginal revenue and the green color line is the marginal cost. The two curves are intersecting at this point. That is where marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. And that is the profit maximizing output level. That is why we have labeled this as Q star. That is profit maximizing output level. Q star level is the profit maximizing output level. And what is the price? What is the price this monopolist will charge to sell this amount of quantity? What is the price? What is the unit price this monopolist will charge to sell this amount of quantity? To find the price, you have to go straight to the demand curve. You have to go straight to the demand curve from this quantity. Go straight to the demand curve. And then find the corresponding price. And that is the equilibrium price. If you want, you can use P star here. You can use an asterisk mark also here, P star. That is the equilibrium price. Don't find price anywhere. Price always lies on the demand curve. Don't mark the price here. Don't mark price anywhere. Price is always lying on the demand curve. So the first step you have to do is find where MR equals MC. Where the two curves are cutting. And then find the profit maximizing output. That is the second step. After finding the profit maximizing output, go straight to the demand curve. And find the price correspond to that point. This is the equilibrium price. You can also label it as P star because it's profit maximizing price. Then what is the total revenue? Total revenue is P star into Q star. Total revenue is price into quantity. So at profit maximizing output level, At profit maximizing output level, total revenue is P star into Q star. This total area will show the total revenue. This whole area will show the total revenue at the profit maximizing output level. P star into Q star. Then what is the total cost? Total cost at profit maximizing output level. In perfect competition, we learned that profit is total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue is what? P into Q. Total cost is what? Average cost into Q. Average cost into Q. So if you find the average cost correspond to profit maximizing output level, you can easily multiply that AC value with Q star. So what is the corresponding average cost? What is the corresponding average cost at profit maximizing output level? At profit maximizing output level, average cost is this much. So straight to Q star, you have to go to the average cost. You have to go to the average cost and then find the corresponding value of average cost. To find the price, you have to go to the demand curve straight. To find the average cost, you have to go to the average cost curve straight to Q star. Don't find average cost on marginal cost. Okay, marginal cost is different, average cost is different. Total cost is average cost into Q. So in order to find total cost, you have to find average cost first. You have to find average cost first. So this light pink color area is the total cost. AC into Q star. Total cost. So we know the total revenue. Total revenue is this whole area. Total revenue is this whole area. Total cost is this area. And what is the difference? Difference is the profit. Difference is the profit. So this area will be the profit. Total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue minus total cost, and the remainder is total profit. So that will be the maximum profit. That will be the maximum profit that this monopolist can earn in the short run. That is the maximum profit that this monopolist can earn in the short run, because both conditions are satisfied. MR is equal to MC, and also we couldn't check the second condition. Just check whether the second condition is also satisfied. What is the second condition? Slope of MC should be greater than slope of MR. So be careful, because sometimes even though the first condition is satisfied, the second condition will not be valid. So we have to be careful whether both conditions are satisfied. Mistakenly we checked only the first condition. We have to check the second condition also. But what about the slope of MC? What about the slope of MC? At this point, MC curve is increasing. So MC is taking positive slope. MC is taking a positive slope. What about MR? MR is decreasing. MR is decreasing. So MR takes a negative slope, which is greater. Positive value or negative value? Positive value is greater. So the second condition is also satisfied. Slope of MC is positive. Slope of MR is negative. So the second condition is also satisfied. That is, slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. So since both conditions are satisfied, this is the profit maximizing output level, this is the profit maximizing price, and this will be the total revenue, this will be the total cost, and the remainder is the total profit. That will be the maximum profit this monopolist can earn in the short run. So we will do, this is the graphical interpretation. We can do some exercise, mathematical exercise for that. the inverse demand curve is P equals 100 Q minus 0.2 Q. Inverse demand curve is 100 minus 0.2 Q. Total cost is thank you, 50Q plus 50Q plus 1000. Find profit maximizing output level, price level, and the maximum profit. Do you want a break? No? Okay, take a break for 10 minutes. inform about the exam dates given here? Okay, shall we start? That's good. If you are given the inverse demand function, the first step you have to do is to find the total revenue function. From the inverse demand function, find total revenue. In the previous session, we learned how to derive the total revenue function from the inverse demand curve. Total revenue is P into Q. P into Q. And this is the price. This is the expression for price. This is the expression for price. So you can substitute this for P here. Then TR equals, instead of P, I'm going to write 100 minus 0.2 Q multiplied by Q. So you can simplify this. TR equals 100 into Q, 100 Q, minus 0.Q into Q, minus 0.2 Q square. So this is the total revenue function. From the inverse demand curve, you can derive the total revenue function in this way. Inverse demand curve gives an expression for P. So you can substitute this expression for P here. Because TR equals P into Q, instead of P, substitute the expression for price that you can take from the inverse demand curve. And then simplify. It's easy. That is the first step you have to do. Find the total revenue function. And the second step is to find marginal revenue. Marginal revenue. At the end of the previous session, I taught you how to find marginal revenue from the total revenue function. You have to differentiate. You have to differentiate total revenue function with respect to Q. differentiate total revenue with respect to Q. If a value in this format, a constant and the variable and the power, if a term is in this format, you can easily differentiate this with respect to x in this way. Multiply the power value by the coefficient in the front, a into b. Multiply the power value by the constant in the front, then it becomes a into b, and then write the variable as it is. Write the variable as it is, and deduct 1 from the power. Deduct 1 from the power. So you can do differentiation like in this way. If the term in this format, okay? If the term is in this format, a constant multiplied by the variable to the power value. So this is in this format. This is also in this format. So no, without any issue, you can apply this rule. You can apply this rule to differentiate this term and this term separately. What is the power value here? It's 1. So if the power value is not mentioned in the term, it should be 1. So do it. Last day we did an example, so you can refer to that as well. And sometimes these constants can be 1. Okay? Sometimes this constant can be 1. So in such cases, the constant is not shown. So if like q to the power 2, then you should understand that the constant is 1. Constant is 1. dER over dQ is 100. Take the first term first. Take this term first. 100 q to the power 1. Multiply the constant in the front by the power value. 100 into 1 is 100. And keep the variable as it is, q. The power value is 1. Deduct 1 from the power value. Deduct 1 from the power value. 1 is the power value here. Deduct 1. Deduct 1. Then go to the second term, minus 0.2. In this case, minus 0.2 is the constant. Minus 0.2 is the constant in the second term. Multiply it by the power value. Multiply it by the power value, then it becomes minus 0.4. Minus 0.4. Write the variable as it is. and deduct 1 from the power value. Power value is 2, deduct 1 from it. And then simplify. 100 into q to the power 1 minus 1, what is it? 0. 100 into q to the power 0. Minus 0.4 q to the power 2 minus 1, it's 1. It's 1. For any value or for any variable, if the power value is 0, the power value is 0 for any variable, for any value, its value is 1. X to the power 0, it's 1. 10 to the power 0, it's 1. 100 to the power 0, it's 1. 1 to the power 0, it's 1. So when the power is 0 for any value, for any variable, the value is 1. So 100 into 1, it's 100. Q disappears and the first term becomes 100 and the second term is 0.4 Q. We don't want to specifically mention the power value 1. Instead, we can simply write it's Q. So this is the final result. That is dTr over dQ, which is marginal revenue. This is the marginal revenue function. That is the result we get after differentiating total revenue function with respect to Q. There are different differentiation results, but if you know this rule, that is enough for this course. I'm not extending advanced differentiating rules in this subject because it seems like many of you haven't learned differentiation before. It's easy. Multiply the constant by the power value and deduct 1 from the power. Okay, that is the second step. The third step is to find marginal revenue, marginal cost. Marginal cost. To find marginal cost, as we did in the case of marginal revenue, you have to differentiate total cost with respect to Q. Differentiate total cost with respect to Q. Total cost is 50Q plus 100. 50Q plus 100. You can apply this rule to the first term in the total cost function. You can apply this rule here. Apply the rule here. For any constant, after differentiating, we get 0. If there is a constant, after differentiating, the result is 0. So that is the second rule. The result after differentiating any constant is 0. So you don't want to worry about constants. They take always 0 after differentiation. So this doesn't have any variable Q. We don't have Q here. So it's simply a constant. For any constant, the differentiated result is 0. So you have to worry about this term only. Differentiate 50Q. 50Q. The power value is 1 here. Power value is 1. 1 into 50, 50. 50 into Q to the power 1 minus 1. Deduct 1 from the power value. And again, it's 50 Q to the power 0. It's the 50. The answer is 50. about marginal cost is 50. Marginal cost is 50. That is the third step. First step is to find the total revenue function based on the inverse demand curve. The second step is to find marginal revenue based on the total revenue function. You have to differentiate total revenue with respect to Q. And the third step is to find marginal cost. You have to differentiate total cost with respect to Q. And the fourth step is to apply the first condition for profit maximization. What is the first condition for profit maximization? MR equals MC. You know MR now, you know MC now, then just equate them. The fourth step is to equate. You can write at equilibrium or at profit maximizing output level or at equilibrium, MR equals MC. And then write MR is 100 minus 0.4 Q, MC is 50. Just simplify this expression and find an answer for Q. Find an answer for Q. That will be the profit maximizing output level. You can this bring 50 to the left hand side, then it becomes 100 minus 50, 100 minus 50, 50. We can bring this minus 0.4 Q to the right hand side, then it becomes 0.4 Q. Then divide 50 by 0.4. Divide 50 by 0.4. That will be the answer for Q. 50 divided by 0.4. Is it 125? Q star is 125. 125. That is the profit maximizing output level. That is the profit maximizing output level. Here, if you are checking the second condition, slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. We can do it. We can do it. But in the examination, you don't want to do that because it's something advanced. If you want, I can teach you. Actually, it's not that much difficult. This is MR is what? MR is simply the slope of TR. MR is simply the slope of TR. MC is simply the slope of TC. MR is the slope of TR. MC is the slope of TC. To find MR, we differentiated TR with respect to Q. That means to find the slope of TR, which is MR, we have to differentiate TR with respect to Q. Then to find the slope of MR, we have to differentiate MR with respect to Q. To find the slope of TR, we differentiated TR with respect to Q. That is MR. To find the slope of MR, we differentiate MR with respect to Q. Simply, this becomes 0. dMR over dQ. This is 0. This is minus 0.4. The result is minus 0.4. It's negative. Margin of error is negative. After differentiating MR with respect to Q, the result is minus. After differentiating MR with respect to Q, the result is minus 0.4, which is minus. And that is the slope of MR. This is the slope of MR. MC is the slope of TC. MC is the slope of TC. We found MC by differentiating TC. To find the slope of MC, we have to differentiate MC with respect to Q. This is the slope of MC. MC is constant. A constant differentiated by Q, the result is 0. So which is greater, the 0 value or the negative value? 0 value is greater. So isn't this condition satisfied? The slope of MC is greater than the slope of MR. Yes, the second condition is also satisfied. Slope of MC is 0, slope of MR is negative. 0 is greater than negative, so slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. The second condition is also satisfied. So without any doubt, we can proceed by considering this, by taking this as the profit maximizing output level, because at this output level both conditions are satisfied. So in the examination you don't have to worry about the second condition. If you follow the first condition, that is enough. Okay. And then, what is the fifth step? Fifth step is to find, what did we do here? After finding the profit maximizing output level, we found the price. Find the price. At profit maximizing output level, what is the price? You have to go straight to the demand curve. Demand curve, we know its expression. P equals 100 minus 0.2 Q. P equals 100 minus 0.2 Q. That is the expression for this entire demand curve. You have to find the exact price correspond to this Q star. We know the Q star, then substitute this Q star to the inverse demand curve, then you can find the price. Substitute this 125, which is Q star, here. That will give you the answer for equilibrium price. That is 100 minus 0.2 into 125. 0.2 into 120 is 25. 100 minus 25 is 75. Is that? Yes. Equilibrium price is T star is 75. That is the fifth step. P equals 100 minus 0.2 Q. Substitute 125 for Q. 100 minus 0.2 into 125. 100 minus 0.2 into 125. The answer is 100 minus 25. Final answer is 75. Equilibrium output level is 125. Equilibrium price is 75. And then find the profit maximizing, sorry, the maximum profit. The maximum profit. It's easier. We know the profit maximizing output level, we know the profit maximizing price, then you can easily calculate the total revenue at profit maximizing output level. The sixth step. The sixth step is to find the total revenue at profit maximizing output level. Total revenue at profit maximizing output level. That is at Q star. What is equilibrium price multiplied by equilibrium price multiplied by equilibrium output. That is 75 multiplied by 125. The answer is 9,375. This is the total revenue at profit maximizing output level. And then find total cost at profit maximizing output level. That is at Q star. We know the total cost. What is total cost? Total cost function is 50Q plus 1000. Then substitute 150, sorry, 125 for Q. And add 1000. C equals 6,200. 6,250 plus 1000. BC equals 7,250. So we calculated both total revenue and total cost. So this is total cost. Total revenue and total cost at profit maximizing output level. Then profit is what? Profit is the difference between total revenue and total cost. Profit equals ER minus EC, that is 9,375 minus 7,250. How much is it? Is it 2,125? So this value 2125 is the value for this green color space. Okay, shall we move on? Okay, this is about the short run equilibrium. This is about the short run equilibrium. Next we are going to discuss the long run equilibrium. The monopolist has the time to expand its plant or to use his existing plant at any level which will maximize his profits. Typically, theoretically, a monopolist can earn normal profits, economic profits or economic losses, any in the short run. But most of the time, since the monopolist is the only firm operating in the industry, they always want to have economic profits. They always want to earn economic profits. So theoretically, monopolists can earn economic profits, economic losses, or normal profits in the short run. But practically, monopolists will earn economic profits because they are targeting higher profits. And also that is possible because no other firms can enter the industry. They can maintain the monopoly in the industry. So therefore, they can control the price. The monopolist can control the price. Therefore, they can maximize their profits by earning economic profits rather than earning economic losses, so rather than going for normal profits. With entry block, however, it is not necessary for the monopolist to reach an optimal scale. So where the optimal scale lies in the long run, the optimal scale occurs, optimal scale exists at the minimum point on the long run average curve, average cost curve. The previous discussion was on the short run. Now I'm going to explain the long run concept of profit maximization. This is long run average cost. This is long run marginal cost. This is the minimum point of the long run average cost, and this is the optimum scale. Optimum scale. Where the long run average cost is the minimum. Long run average cost is the minimum. Beyond this scale, what happens? Long run average cost starts to increase. It is not beneficial for the firm. So the scale will stop here. That is why it's the optimum scale. If the firm expands further, if the firm expands its scale further, long run average cost will go up. Therefore, firm will not do that. Firm will not do that. Firm will stop expanding its scale at here, at this level. That is why it's called the optimum scale of production, or the optimum scale. That is where the long run average cost is the minimum. Over this range, long run average cost is decreasing, so continuously firm is expanding its scale. That is fine because it results in a decrease in long run average cost that is beneficial for the firm. This is the minimum average long run average cost. Going beyond that, it increases the long run average cost, which is not good for the firm. Therefore, they will stop here at the minimum scale. Even though the monopolist has the freedom, has the monopoly power to expand its plant size up to the minimum point of long run average cost where the optimum scale exists, it's not necessarily. It is not necessary for the monopolist to reach an optimum scale. Monopolist can reach the optimum scale or can operate before the optimum scale. It is not necessary for monopolist to go to this point, to reach this level. Monopolist can operate somewhere here also. It is up to the monopolist. Monopolist can decide whether to operate at the optimum scale or before that. That is up to the monopolist. Monopolist has the freedom for that. It means that there is no need to build up this plant until he reaches the minimum point of LAC. There is no any guarantee that he will use this existing plant at optimum capacity. Yes, there is no guarantee that the monopolist will reach the optimum scale. If he wants, he can reach. If he doesn't want, he can stop before that. That is, what is certain is that the monopolist will not stay in business if he makes losses in the long run. The only thing which is certain is the monopolist will not make losses in the long run. The monopolist will earn profits in the long run, and the plant size is up to the decision on the plant size is up to the monopolist. Whether to reach the optimum scale or operating before that, it's totally up to the monopolist. Monopolist stays in business if the firm makes profits in the long run. Yes, that is the only certain thing. That is the only thing we can tell about the long run equilibrium. So at this point, profit is maximum, MR equals NC condition is satisfied here. MR equals NC condition is satisfied here. And at the same point, the second condition is also fulfilled. The slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. You can see slope of MR is negative, slope of MC is positive. So slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. The second condition is also fulfilled. And this is where the optimum scale lies. This is where the optimum scale lies. This monopolist operates before the optimum scale. Before the optimum scale. This is the equilibrium output level. This is the equilibrium output level, and the corresponding price is this much. This is the equilibrium price. This is the equilibrium output level. This is the optimum scale. the optimum scale, but this monopolist does not reach the optimum scale. Instead, this monopolist stops somewhere before that. And this is the equilibrium price. This is the total price, total revenue. This whole area is the total revenue. Q into P, Q star into P star. This is long run average cost. We go to the long run average cost straight to Q star and find the long run average cost. So long run average cost multiplied by Q star. This area will show the total cost. Total revenue minus total cost, and this shaded area is the profit. This shaded area is the profit this firm earns at this profit maximizing output level. Since this monopolist has not reached the optimum scale, it has some excess capacity. It has some excess capacity. So the monopolist has stopped here. The monopolist has stopped here at Q star, and the optimum scale lies here. Optimum scale lies here. The firm, this monopolist, has some excess capacity. The monopolist can go further. The monopolist can go further. The monopolist can increase the scale further from Q star to optimum scale. So there is some excess capacity. Until reaching the optimum scale. The firm is operating with some excess capacity. Firm size is the optimum size is not fully utilized. What is the optimum size? What is the optimum scale? The optimum scale is this much. Optimum scale is this much. You can show it like Q0 or QO to denote that is the optimum scale. So this firm does not utilize its scale maximum. This firm, this monopoly, does not utilize its scale at maximum. Instead, they are utilizing a scale below the optimum scale. So that is why we say the firm is operating with some excess capacity. If this monopolist wants, yes, of course, he can reach this point. He can reach this point without any issue. But in this example, this monopolist has stopped here. Anyway, in the long run, the monopolist is earning profits. Okay, that is about profit maximization. Maybe you will get an example exercise, numerical exercise like we did here today in the final examination. Okay, you have to practice it several times. And the next section is about price discrimination. Price discrimination. Price discrimination is possible. Price discrimination is possible in market structures where these conditions are satisfied. If the firm has some market power means the power to set the price. The power to set the price. Does perfectly competitive firms have the power to set their price? No. Perfectly competitive firms do not have power to set the price. So they can't practice price discrimination. To practice price discrimination, firms should have some sort of market power. Market power means the power to set their price. Of course, the monopolist has that power. Monopolist has that power. Monopolist can decide the price they will charge. And also the other two market structures. What are the other two market structures? Monopolistic competition and oligopoly. They also have some sort of market power. They also have some sort of market power, so they also can practice price discrimination. So, what firms can practice price discrimination? Monopoly firms, monopolistically competitive firms, and oligopolistic firms. So these three types of firms can practice price discrimination, but not perfectly competitive firms, because perfectly competitive firms does not have any power to set their price. They are taking the price determined in the market. They don't have any power to influence the market price. And the second condition that should be met to practice price discrimination is consumers must differ in their sensitivity to price. Consumers must differ in their sensitivity to price. And a firm must be able to identify how consumers differ in their sensitivity. For example, let's say uh, airline company, Sri Lankan Airlines, they have two services. One is economy class and the other one is business class. So price sensitivity of people who select business class, price sensitivity of people who select the business class, and the price sensitivity of the people who select economy class are completely different. Usually people who have less income select the economy class. Usually those who have higher income levels select the business class. So their sensitivity to price, also differ a lot. Usually economy class people who choose economy class people have higher price sensitivity. Business class people usually have lower price sensitivity. Even a small increase in price is enough to stop a lower income person to go abroad for a visit. Even a small increase in price in the economic class is enough for a lower income person to stop his or her decision to travel abroad. Right? That is why it says for those who choose the economic class, their price sensitivity is very high. When price increases in a very small amount, quantity will decrease, or the number of seats demanded by economic class people will go down sharply. But that is not happening in the business class. Even though price rises more, there won't be any change in quantity demanded much. There won't be any significant change in quantity demanded. So firms should identify how different consumer groups differ in terms of their price sensitivity. This is one example. And the third condition is firms should be able to prevent reselling between different locations to higher price paying customers whom the firm charges relatively low prices. Let's say there are two locations. The same firm caters in different locations. Location A and location B. Location A and location B. In location B, because of specific reason, this firm charges a lower price. The firm charges a lower price. Maybe because the customers located in location B maybe they are highly price sensitive, so they are charging a lower price. The same commodity, okay, the same commodity at a lower price in location B, the same commodity in location A at a higher price. At a higher price. So will this price discrimination be successful if someone goes to location B and purchases the same commodity at a lower price and resell it in location A at a higher price? No. If someone who is an outsider to the firm goes to the location B and purchases the commodity at a lower price, and to earn some profit, he sells it in location A at a higher price. In that case, the price discrimination will not be successful. The firm will not achieve its target because some other person goes to the location B and purchases the same commodity at a lower price and resells it at a higher price in location A. So in order to make price discrimination a success, firms should be careful in order to prevent or limit resells between the locations where the price is lower and where the prices are higher, where the price is higher. So only if the firm can make sure that these three conditions are satisfied, that kind of a firm can practice price discrimination. Price discrimination means the same product sold at different prices. The same product sold at different prices to different buyers. The same product, the almost same product sold at different prices at different buyers, to different buyers. The cost of production can be the same or can be slightly different. The cost of production can be the same or can be slightly different. For example, the cost of providing a seat in economy class and the cost of providing a seat in the business class may be slightly different, because of course in business class they provide high quality food and high quality atmosphere inside that. So its cost may be high, but not very huge. Cost may be the same. Like here, let's say a firm produces vodka. Because of a specific reason, the vodka company sells a bottle of vodka at a lower price here. The same product is sold at a higher price in a different location. So here the product is the same, almost the same, but here the product is slightly different. So price also should be different, but not very. The cost difference should be slight, and the price difference should be something significant. This is cost difference. This is price difference. The cost of production is either the same or it differs, but not as much as the difference in the charge price. Cost is different, like in the business class and economy class case. Economy class cost is a bit higher, but what about the price? Price is very big. Price difference is very big. The airline company charges a lower price in business class and something significantly higher price from the business class. But their cost is very slightly different. In this case, the cost is the same. There is no difference in the cost. Cost is the same, but the price is high. Price difference is high. The product is basically the same, but it may have slight differences. So here the product is the same, here the product is different. Product is different because in business class, the passengers will receive high quality food and other amenities. The atmosphere is also big and they can fly comfortably. So the examples of industries where price discrimination is practiced include airline services, telephone companies, water, electricity suppliers. So these are several examples for those who are practicing price discrimination. And these are the three conditions for price discrimination. If any of these conditions is not satisfied, price discrimination will fail. There should be market power. That means the firm should have ability to set the price, ability to control the price, and customers should have different sensitivities to the price, and also the firm should be able to know that. The firm should be able to identify those customers, and finally, the firm should make sure that resale is not happening. Resale is not happening from higher price locations to, lower price location to higher price location. Why do firms practice price discrimination? That is simply to increase the price, increase the profit. Why do firms discriminate price? That is simply to increase their price, increase their profit. A firm earns a higher profit from price discrimination than uniform pricing. So if this vodka firm charges the same price in both locations, they will earn a lower profit. They will earn a lower profit when they are charging a uniform and equal price. So since they are charging higher price in one location and a lower price in another location, they can increase the profit. So in the location where the price is lower, they will have a higher demand. Maybe the customers located in location B are highly price sensitive. Their price elasticity is high. So that's why they are charging a lower price. When charging a lower price, they can increase the total revenue. As we learned from the marginal revenue and elasticity case, when price elasticity is high, when the demand is price elastic, what should be the strategy? Lower the price, lowering the price. So when a low price is charged, total revenue will increase. Total revenue will increase. And maybe people who reside in location A, they are less price sensitive. The demand will be less price elastic. So in that case, the pricing decision should be to increase the price. Then again they can increase the total revenue. So in both scenarios, in both locations, they will have a higher total revenue. So ultimately, profit will increase. Price differences do not always indicate price discrimination. So there are price differences. But every price difference do not indicate a price discrimination. If cost differences are reflected in price differences, it is not recognized as price discrimination. If the price difference is basically because of the cost difference and there is no such, if this is not the case, then we cannot consider it as the price discrimination. If cost fee is this much and the price fee is also this much, then it is not price discrimination. To consider it as a price discrimination, the cost difference should be small, price difference should be big. If the cost difference if the cost difference and the price difference both are almost the same, that is not price discrimination. Instead, it is basically simply because the cost difference. They are charging a higher price. They are charging a higher price mainly because the cost is higher. If the price difference is because of the cost difference, if the price difference is because of the cost difference, then that is not price discrimination. There are three types of price discrimination. One is perfect price discrimination. This is rare in the case, in the real context. Here, the firm tries to charges the maximum willingness to pay from each customer. Here, the firm tries to charge the maximum willingness to pay from each customer. Each unit of the good is sold at its maximum price. The first degree price discrimination, in that the firm charges the maximum willingness to pay from individual customers. So, firm should have knowledge about the maximum willingness to pay of each customer that the firm caters to. So let's say this is the demand curve, and let's say this is the marginal cost, this is marginal revenue. Profit is maximum here, Q star, and this will be the profit maximizing price. If this firm charges a uniform price, if this firm charges a uniform price, total revenue will be this much. No price discrimination. This is the total revenue without price discrimination. They charge a uniform price. Uniform price. Uniform means equal price. If this firm can charge the maximum willingness to pay from each customer, so let's say this is the first customer, rather than charging a uniform price, this firm charges the maximum price. This is the maximum price this first consumer will be willing to pay. This is the maximum willingness to pay. Maximum willingness to pay by the first customer, customer 1. And the second customer, his maximum willingness to pay is this much. Maximum willingness to pay by customer 2. Likewise, if the firm is able to charge the maximum willingness to pay from each customer, now what will be the total revenue? Total revenue will be this whole area. They could increase the total revenue by this much. The firm can increase the total revenue by this much by charging the maximum possible price from each individual customer rather than charging a uniform price. If the firm charges a uniform price, this will be the total revenue. If the firm is charging different prices from different customers at their maximum willingness to pay, then the total revenue will be this much. Total revenue will be this much. The total revenue will be higher by this much under first degree price discrimination than charging a uniform price. This is about first degree price discrimination. In second degree price discrimination happens where it happens in two ways. In quantity, in bulk purchases, yes. Bulk purchasing. So, if you are buying a product at a bulk quantity, you will be charged a lower price. If you purchase the bulk of the commodity, you will be charged a lower unit price. If you are purchasing a very small quantity, the price will be higher. So there are some retail stores as well. When you are purchasing one yogurt, the price will be 80. If you are purchasing 10 yogurts or more, the unit price will be how much? 70 or something below that, right? So in bulk purchasing, the low price is lower. When you are purchasing a small quantity, the price will be higher. So this is not happening in retail sales. In wholesale, this is much popular. In wholesale industry, that is much popular. When customers are purchasing in bulks, the unit price will be very low. And also, the second degree price discrimination can happen in block pricing. Block pricing. Block pricing. For example, electricity, from one level of units to another unit, this is the unit price. And from this number of units of electricity to this number of units, a higher price. Electricity units. That is called block pricing. This happens in electricity, whereas water, and in some other utility services. Telephone charges is that there is some minimum payment, and then the whole time increases, it goes up. The unit price goes up. Unit price is going up. Unit price. So second degree price discrimination happens in these two ways: bulk purchasing and in block pricing. And the third type of price discrimination happens in airway companies, airline companies, cinema theaters. So ODC, OCD, what is that? OCD. Theaters, what? Cinemas? OCD. ODC. ODC. ODC price is lower, and there may be some other sophisticated seating areas. So their prices will be higher. And also in cinemas, they can charge a lower price for senior citizens and higher price for young people and adults. So likewise, based on the customer group, they charge different prices. Based on customer group, they charge different prices. That is happening in airline services, theaters, amusement parks. Amusement parks means like Leisure World, Water Park, or some other amusement parks. They charge different prices from different customer groups by age, by gender, by occupation. There may be some different charges from different customer groups. So that is about price discrimination, and we end the monopoly session. Now, how do you want to have the individual assignment? It will take more than 30 minutes to answer the question. Shall I make it a take-home assignment? I will upload the questions, so you can you can type your answers on a Word document and submit the answers. That is fine if you get into groups and do the exercise, but make sure that you submit it individually, okay? You can discuss in groups, or you can discuss as the entire batch, that is also fine. But make sure that you really put some genuine effort, okay? Make sure that you genuinely put some effort, because these kind of questions will come at the examination. So first, try by yourself, and then discuss with your batchmates. So I will put the quiz, or not the quiz, the assignment in the LMS, and also I will open a link I will also open the link to upload your answers to the LMS. Okay, you can upload your answers to the LMS, so easily I can download every submission at once. Then it will be easier for me to mark them as well. So we have left with 30 minutes more. We will start monopolistic competition also. Monopolistic competition. This is the third market structure we discussed. Give me 5 minutes. I will come back in 5 minutes. Okay. Depending on the number of firms, we can categorize market structures. Number of firms is not the only base on which we categorize market structures. It's only one. Number of firms is only one characteristic based on which we categorize market structures. There are few other characteristics as well. So based on the number of firms, if there is only one firm operating in the industry, then it belongs to monopoly. It belongs to monopoly. If there are few number of firms, then it belongs to oligopoly. Few means not many. And there are many number of firms. We have two types of market structures: monopolistic competition and perfect competition. In monopolistic competition, basically, the products are differentiated. The products are differentiated. In perfect competition, products are identical. So that is the main difference between monopolistic competition and perfect competition. In monopolistic competition, products are differentiated. Products are different from one firm to another. In perfect competition, products are not differentiated. Products are identical. In perfect competition, products are identical. Products are homogeneous, or products are not differentiated. These are several features of monopolistic competition. There are many small sellers, many buyers, but they are attached to certain sellers. Give some examples for monopolistic competition. Give some examples for monopolistically competitive industries. Salons. Salons. There are many. There are many small salons. And each salon has a specific customer base. Each salon has a specific customer base. And some other examples: fast food restaurants, including KFC, Pizza Hut, what else? Dynamo, Domino's, and even Kottupati. They are fast food restaurants. So they have some sort of customer base for them. As well as TV channels does not belong here. Not TV. TV channels are oligopoly. There are few, not many. What else? Salons. As I mentioned to you in the morning, the clothing stores. They are some examples of monopolistically competitive industries. The products are heterogeneous or homogeneous. Sorry, products are differentiated or heterogeneous. Differentiated and heterogeneous mean the same thing. They mean the same. Differentiated, heterogeneous. Differentiated, it's equal to, the meaning is equal to the term heterogeneous. This is the case of monopolistic competition. In perfect competition, products are identical. Products are identical. That is, products are homogeneous. Homogeneous, heterogeneous. In monopolistic competition, products are differentiated, though products are homogeneous. And product of one firm is fairly a close substitute for that of the other sellers. So if we are talking about the salon, there are, let's say, big scale salons. What are they? Leo, right? The biggest salon in Sri Lanka, Leo. Am I spelling it correctly? Leo. Ramadi Sirivardhan. What else? Janet. Sparsilon is from Janet, right? Janet's son is doing it. How many? There are people. And they are actually substitute. We can get a haircut from Leo, or else we can get a haircut from Ramani, or else we can get a haircut from another salon. The product is almost the same. Product is almost the same, but slightly differentiated. slightly differentiated. They are slightly differentiated. Therefore, they are close substitutes. They are close substitutes. If one customer is not satisfied with the service given by Leo, if the customer thinks that their price is higher, they can shift to Raman. They can shift to Raman. Likewise, they are close substitute. The customer can get the service from any. And also, customers are attached to each seller based on their specific characteristics. Those specific characteristics are very slightly differentiated. Very slightly differentiated. So that's why we say differentiated or heterogeneous products are provided. At the same time, one firm is fairly a close substitute for that of the other sellers. One firm produces closely a substitute for that of the other sellers. Entry into industry and exit are easy in the long run. Firms can enter and exit. Firm can enter the industry and exit from the industry easily in the long run. And also the goal is maximizing profits. So those are the features of monopolistic competition. Differentiated product means similar products but not identical. They are slightly differentiated. They are slightly differentiated. Satisfy the same basic need. If it is a haircut, all these firms satisfy the same basic need. If it is a fast food restaurant, they provide the same basic need of food. If it is about clothing outlets, they provide the same basic need of clothes. So the third characteristic of differentiated product is the differentiation may be real or imaginary. Yes, these salons may have real differentiation. So Leo's other facilities they provide at the salon may be very sophisticated or very customer friendly, but Ramani salon may not that much customer friendly. So there is some real difference. Real difference is there, but there may be some other cases where there is no real difference, but it's imaginary. Customer thinks that it's different, but actually it's not. Customer thinks that the products are different, but it's not the case. So there may be the differentiation may be real or imaginary. For example, maybe there may be some clothing outlets, fashion bar, house of fashion, no limit. What is the other one? Food planet. So maybe the same supplier is providing garment items to all these outlets. So there is no any real difference. So one single supplier provides garment items to all these outlets. So there is no difference, but customer thinks that products are different. Customer imagine that products are different. The differentiation may be based on location or service. Yes, it also happens. Location, for example, let's say near a cinema theater, there is an ice cream store. So people who visit cinema to watch a movie, after the movie they visit this ice cream company. But there may be some other companies as ice cream outlets as well, which are far away from the cinema. So by location, this ice cream outlet has differentiated because it is convenient for cinema watchers to visit the ice cream stall after the cinema, after watching the movie. So it is differentiated by location. This has the locational advantage. They have differentiated by the location rather than ice cream outlets, ice cream stalls far away from the cinema. This ice cream stall has some locational advantage because it is convenient for people who visit the cinema to go to ice cream stall and enjoy ice cream. So location is one service, one way of differentiation, and the other service, customer service, how they greet the customers, how they arrange seats for the customers, whether the customers are provided well facilitated washrooms, and whether the car parking is available sufficiently. So those services are also one way of doing differentiation. Location and service are ways of differentiating goods, but not only these two. There are several other ways also. But these are only two ways of making products differentiated. This is not about price differentiation. Don't get confused with the concept of price differentiation. Price differentiation is about the difference in prices. This is about product characteristics. The product differentiation can happen in size, color, what else? Ingredients, location, customer service within the location, or after customer service after the sale, customer service after sale, branding. So these are the aspects that firms can differentiate their product. Some firms, some ice cream stores may provide a small amount of ice cream. Some ice cream stores can provide something big ice cream for the customers. Color also may be different. For example, let's say biscuits. Even the same biscuit in different colors. Ingredients. Some fast food restaurants can use locally manufactured ingredients. Some fast food restaurants can use imported ingredients. Location, as I told, if an ice cream stall is located near the cinema, then it's a differentiation by location. Service in salons, if they provide very good customer service, then it's so differentiation by service. Customer service after sale. If in the case of electric items, if some firms are providing after sale customer service, then it's different from others. Branding, if some products are branded, then it's also kind of differentiation. So these are the aspects, several aspects based on which firms can differentiate their products. So in monopolistic competition, it has two components. It has characteristics of two market structures. It is like a combination. Combination of which market structures? Monopoly and perfect competition. It is like a combination of monopoly and monopolistic competition. Perfect competition is on one extreme. Monopoly is on one extreme. So we have these two extremes. Monopolistic competition is close to perfect competition, and it has both characteristics of monopoly and perfect competition. The element of perfect competition that belongs to monopolistic competition is a large number of sellers. The monopolistic characteristic that belongs to monopolistic competition is product differentiation. As you already know, there is no close substitute for monopolists. Their product is really unique. Their product is 100% unique. But when it comes to monopolistic competition, their products are differentiated. There are close substitutes, but not 100% unique. Not 100% unique. That's why the characteristics is from monopoly, but not the same characteristic. Here the product is unique. Here it's not perfect. It is not 100% unique. But anyhow, it's differentiated. This is perfectly differentiated. Perfectly differentiated from. No one is producing such a product like this monopoly. But here, products are slightly differentiated. Products are slightly differentiated. It also provides some monopoly power. Some sort of monopoly power is there. A small monopoly power is there with monopolistically competitive firms. Because their product is slightly unique, so there may be some specific customer group loyal to that individual firm, like Salon Raman. They have specific customer group who are loyal to them. Therefore, they have some sort of monopoly power, a small monopoly power. In monopoly, the demand curve is steeper, relatively steeper. Demand curve is relatively steeper. And both the firm and market demand curve are the same. Firm and market demand curves are the same. When it comes to monopolistic competition, demand curve is flatter. Demand curve is flatter because even though their products are slightly differentiated, other firms provide close substitutes. If customers related to this firm are not satisfied with the product they provide, these customers can shift to another firm. Therefore, their price elasticity is high. They have relatively price elastic demand. Relatively price elastic demand. They have relatively price inelastic demand. Their demand curve is steeper, their demand curve is flatter. And also, market and firm, they are totally different. This is for a firm. The horizontal summation is for the market. Market demand and firm's demand are different. But in monopoly, market demand and firm's demand are the same because there is only one firm. Here, there are a lot of firms operating in the market. So, individual firms demand curve and the market demand curve, they are different. We can horizontally sum firms demand curve, all firms demand curve to get the market demand curve. So those are the elements of monopolistic competition. One element is coming from perfect competition, one element is coming from monopoly. Monopoly element is product differentiation and competitive element is large number of sellers. We will discuss the rest next week. Any questions? Do you find this subject difficult or manageable? Amar? No. Amar, no. Okay. I will try to make it easier for you and the final exam. But put some genuine effort, okay? You have to study everything we discuss in the class. I think all lectures are available on LMS. I'm not the person who is uploading lectures to the LMS. The administrators are doing that. So I think today's lecture is also recorded. If you have any subject related matters, you can talk to me. Or you can say an email to me. I have mentioned my email address in the course outline. If you don't have any question, we can wind up the session now. I will upload the assignment. It has two structured questions. Okay, one question and subparts. Another question, subparts. There are two structured questions. Type your answers in the Word document and make it a PDF file and then upload to the LMS. I will create a link to submit it. Shall I set the deadline in 5 days? Is it enough? Next Friday? Next Friday, midnight will be the deadline. Thank you. Did anyone didn't anyone attend the quiz, online quiz? Anyone who didn't attend the online quiz? You didn't. Why didn't? Then how I can give you marks? Should it be 0? 0 marks for you. You were abroad, right? By that time? I think it's not an excuse. You were in දැනගෙන හිටියනේ නේද? quiz එක ගැන දැනගෙන හිටියනේ. I posted the notice on the LMS. Okay. I will talk to the administration and I will see what can I do. And inform all your batchmates to submit the assignment I give today. Okay. If someone fails to do that, he or she will receive 0 marks.